for the skirt length. Right, so I'm just going to open my calculator. Because I'm using a small size measurement and I'm not a size small, so I have to get a small size measurement for this tutorial. So with our lines already drawn vertically and horizontally, we're going to mark the widest part. So our lines, so the widest part of our skirt horizontally is our hip. So our hip divided by 4. The widest part. No ease allowance here. So 4 divided by 4. That's 8.25. Let's divide this into 4. 24 divided by 4. That's 6. Yeah, that's 6. So just writing my brand name here, Akem Sums. So that's 6. What can we call? So this is 8.25. 8.25 is 8.25. Now this is for our horizontal measurements. For the vertical measurement, in order for us to get the accurate hip line, we need to deduct our hip from our waist to get our hip line and add, say, 0.5 inches or 0.25 inches for ease. So 33, which is the hip line, which is the hip circumference, minus 24 inch, which is the waist circumference, is about 9 inches. So I'm going to... Hi guys, good morning. Good morning here in Nigeria, right? So I thought to come on here and excuse me please. All right. So I think it's about 1:17 a.m. in Nigeria. It's a Sunday. I can't seem to catch. It's about night now. I can't sleep, so I thought to just come on here and in Nigeria. It's a communicate with those of us who are still to catch about drafting a basic one-sleeve skirt. So to just come on here and begin in Nigeria. I'm going to do a skirt series for beginner. Catch about start with the basic skirt pattern. One-sleeve skirt. So to just come on here and begin. I would draw us that. I'm going to do a skirt series so that we can catch about start with the basic skirt pattern. One-sleeve skirt. So to just come on here and begin. I would draw us. Yeah, so that's relatively it. I think I'm a bit set. I'm just gonna get my pattern master. Yeah, I'm gonna get my pattern master. I need to remove it from the nylon, then reposition the camera to face my workspace so that we can be able to work. So we can be able to work. So yeah, I'm just going to be showing you guys my work table very soon. Let me position the camera. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead to set my workspace. Right. So what I'm going to do now is to start working on our skirt pattern. So the first thing I've done before coming on this live is to have my pattern paper folded in half. Right, so this is my pattern paper folded in half because I'm going to be drafting both the front and the back of the bodycon skirt at the same time. Then when I'm done drafting and cutting out, I'm going to separate them. So the first thing I'm going to do is to draw a vertical line and an horizontal line across. So go and draw a straight line across using my ruler. And then I'm going to draw an horizontal line because my paper is a bit wobbly. paper is off, so I want my lines to be clean. Just making sure that the lines are straight. So this particular line here is going to be the zipper line, the zipper allowance line, but we'll be talking about that later. So what I did was to get my measurement I'll be using for this the measurement. I want you guys to see my face from the measurement I'll be using for this tutorial. Right, so the measurement I'm using is waist of 24 inches, so I'm just going to write it here so I don't forget. Waist of 24 inches, hip of 33 inches, and the skirt length is let's do 20 inches for the skirt length. Right, so I'm just going to open my calculator because I'm using a small size measurement and I'm not a size small, so I have to get a small size measurement for this tutorial. So with our lines already drawn vertically and horizontally, we're going to mark the widest part of our skirt first. So the widest part of our skirt horizontally is our hip. So our hip divided by 4. No ease allowance yet. 53 divided by 4. That's 8.25. Let's divide this once and for all. 24 divided by 4. That's 6. Yeah, that's 6. So just writing my brand name here, Akem so that one can recall. So this is 8.25. 8.25 is 8.25. Now this is for our horizontal measurement. For the vertical measurement, in order for us to get the accurate hip line, we need to deduct our hip from our waist to get our hip line and add say 0.5 inches or 0.25 inches for ease. So 33, which is the hip line, which is the hip circumference, minus 24 inch, which is the waist circumference, is about 9 inches. So I'm not going to add anything. So this adding or deducting from the hip measurement is dependent on if the person is a tall person or if the person is a short person. If the person is a tall person, you might need to add, because if the person has a longer waist to hip line, of course you will know when you're taking your measurement. But for beginners, you can just, since you'll be working with your own measurement as a beginner, this is what you can just do. Your hip measurement minus your waist. Then when you've gotten more experience in working with the lower part of the female wears, you can now begin to make your adjustment where it is needed, because that is where the whole skill base of the pattern maker is centered on. Like, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but that's where you begin to do all your altering. So let's pause with that and mark 9 inches for our hip line. So I'm just going to put a dot there and draw a straight line across. Just going to draw a straight line across using my ruler. I like to use my pattern master because of all the curves. You can also use your ruler if you don't have the pattern master. I also have French curves, but I like using this. Right, so now we have our waistline, we have our hip line. We need our skirt length of 20 inches. You can see that I'm marking beneath these lines. This is where I'm marking. I'm not marking from above. So 20 inches is the skirt length. So I'm going to add 1 inch for hem around. So I'm going to mark it here. 20 inches, extra 1 inch for hem allowance. So as I was saying in the intro of this line here, I'm going to be under 2 hours. I'm supposed to prepare for church. Right, so I don't even know what I'm going to do myself Nigerian English. I don't know what I'm going to arrange myself. because I've not had been awake since 7 a.m. Saturday morning. And this is Sunday morning. I still haven't. God help me. So please, y'all should help support it also by subscribing to the channel. Trying to get to 4,000 subscribers, and I'm trying to have over 10,000 watch hours in real time, right? So please subscribe to the channel and let me know what else you want me to teach, and I'm going to teach that. And this is not going to be where I'm cutting out some intricate parts with the assumption that you know it. I'm going to walk you through all the process as you see me doing here. So let's cut with the rambling and go back in. So now this is our hem allowance. This is the hem. We have the hip, the skirt length, the hem allowance of 1 inch, and the waistline. So on the waistline, our measurement of the quarter is 6 inches, which is what I will mark here. 1 inch for that, which is what I will mark here. Now, for our hip line is 8 and a quarter. 8 and a quarter, which is what I will mark here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect these lines together. So you can use your ruler, or you can use your pattern master, or you can use freehand. I'm going to use my pattern master. If you want to use your ruler, you're going to have sort of a straight line, which is not what you want, because our bodies are not straight. Right? Our bodies are not straight. So this is our hip. Now, before we come back to this extra 1 inch down left here, we're going to work on the bottom of the skirt. So what I like to do, right, is to go up from the, this is a mini skirt that is above, a mini skirt that is a little bit above the knee. So I like to go up by, say, 4 inches, like half of, from the hip line to the skirt length, I divide it by 2 and go down by 1 inch. But since this is not my measurement, I'm just trying to figure out how it will be like on a short person. And I'm trying to use, I'm going to go up. Half of this is 11, that's 5.5. Put down at 5.5, to come down by 1.5. The tie will be somewhere here. So on this point, if we have 8.25 here at the hip line, we'll take it down here, 8.25. 8.25 and leave a mark. Now I'm going to come in by 1 inch. I'm going to come in by 1 inch. This measurement 7 and a quarter. Then we have 8.25. I'm coming in by 1 inch, which is what I have now to be 7 and a quarter. I'm going to take it to my hem line, 7 and a quarter, and go in by half and a quarter inch. I'm going to connect these lines together. And I'm going to have the perfect bodycon skirt. When you see perfect, like perfecto. You can even see how it looks like perfection is what is going on here. Very, very perfect. So this is how to draft your basic skirt. Supposing we didn't have a dart, supposing we have this connected to this point, you're good to go. So if you don't want a dart, say you're working with fabrics like crepe, made fabric, or any stretch fabric that does not require you to have a zip, you would connect this line to this line. You will not add a 1 inch dart. So because this is a basic skirt block, that is why I'm doing it like this. Alright, so we're done with the body of the skirt. Before we do the dart, on the hip line, I'm going to go in by ½ inch. I'm going to go in by ½ inch. I'm going to get my ruler and extend this hip line outwards. Connect this line to this line. Now this is going to be our zipper line for the back. right? So before we get there, let us deal with this 1 inch dart. So we'll find half of this measurement. So 1 1/4. This is how I find half of my measurement on the skirt. Draw a straight line across. So come this from here to here is about 9 inches. Half is 4.5. I come down a little bit by 1/2 inch. That's going to be that line. So you can go very as high as you want, but not so low, so it doesn't get to the hip line. So I think I'm just going to maintain half of the measurement. So we had extra 1 inch. We're going to put it here, 1/2 inch on both sides of the line, because this line is the dart line. This is our dart points. Then a diagonal line to draw a pivoted dart. And yeah, that's how to draft a simple basic bodycon skirt. You can see how easy and straightforward it is, right? So we're going to do right now and cut. Thank God this is live, so I can show you guys how it works. Right, I can be able to show you guys how I'm going to cut this out without you all missing anything. Now, I didn't add some allowance to this block or to this pattern. If you want, you could add 1/2 inch seam allowance, 1 centimeter seam allowance, 1 inch, 1.5 inch seam allowance. Depends on what you are comfortable with. Right, so I'm going to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance to this pattern. I'm going to add 1/2 inch here, add 1/2 inch sewing allowance here. I'm going to add 1/2 inch at this point. 1/2 inch at this point. I'm going to connect the lines together. Yep. Good. Perfect. So now we can cut so that we can have our lines. You see, I'm folding the hem. I'm folding the hem because of an error that would occur when it's time to sew these garments. Right, so I just relocated from Lagos to another state. So I'm currently not at home. I do not have my sewing machine here, so I won't be able to recreate this pattern. So what I'm just going to be starting with is relatively pattern drafting, pending when I can raise money to be able to buy a sewing machine in my new location. Right, so I sell Ankara fabrics. I will be posting. I do not have an online store yet, so my store is going to basically be the YouTube community tab, the posting tab. So if you check the posting tab, you would see a series of prints that I have, very cheap dollars. So yeah, but they are quality because I buy them from Lagos, Nigeria. If you know Nigeria, you know that we have quality fabrics, so you get value for your money. That was just a side note. So yeah, I'm going to cut this. Now this is a bandless skirt. If you want a band, you could use this as a band. Use this as a band, but let's finish cutting. I'm going to put this aside. So what I want to do now is to snip this dart. So I put it on the other side of the pattern. Then cut off the back piece. Then snip this piece. Snip the bottom as well. So recall that this is the zip element. And get my marker and indicate that this is the front and that this is the back. Oh goodness, I've lost something else. And that this is the back. So you can see the effect of folding. Take the effect of folding, you can see that it's angled, right? So by the time you fold it in, if you're sewing on the fabric, you have it properly aligned into the seam. That is why you need to fold. So we're going to snip this open. Snip this open as well. Keep this aside, draw a straight line to replace the zipper line on the back. Yeah. So this is going to be the zipper line. Remember, this is a dart. So when you are sewing, your zipper would not be more than 8 to 9 inches. So we have ½ inch for sewing. So let's say 8 inches for the dart. So when you have to be taking your measurement as you proceed, so that you know what you are sewing in because of the zipper allowance. Right, so the next thing we're going to draw on this back is the dart. The marker already reported the line, so you can see, in case you can't see yours, you can get a tracing wheel to do that. Yeah, you can get a tracing wheel to do that. Sharp, yeah, so I'm okay with this. So it came down a little bit more, but you get the idea of it. So now it's time to work on the front piece. I'll keep this aside. I'm going to draw a straight line. So again, this is how to cut a bandless skirt block. For us to create the band that will seal up this end, we need a square fabric like this. Then you close up the darts. The idea is just to close this up a little bit. See how I'm doing it. It's so serious. It just helps you to return That's the completed result of the waistline when you're done stitching. So just using the curvy part of my waistline that matches this curve that is here to get the dots, to get the accurate top of the pattern. Alright, so, and this already has an allowance. So you do the same thing for the front and you do the same thing for the back. So now I'm going to maintain this height for the waistband. So do the same thing for the front and the back as well. So I'm going to indicate here front. I'm going to indicate that this is the center front. This is the center front. This is center back. CB, I'm going to indicate that this is side front SF. Then I'm going to cut it out. So now, by the time I match this clothes, by the time let's say this is my fabric, by the time this is under it like this, close up here. So when I close this up as soon like that, presuming, you see that my waistline is going to be very clean because it's going to be on fold. So right sides facing each other. So you got to cut this on the right sides facing each other. You stitch it, you turn it, and you have your waistline close up for yourself. So yeah guys, I hope you were able to learn from the video. I hope you'll be able to recreate this and if possible sew it. The sewing is going to be relatively straightforward. If you want a slit, you can measure from the hemline folded, measure about 4 or 5 inches. It depends on how high you want the slit to be. Just make sure that the allowances that is here, you are keeping that in mind because of the average allowance that we already have. So you sew in your zip. After sewing your zip, you sew in your waistline. After sewing your waistline, you leave your 4 or 5 inch slits depending on how you want it. And we don't have a sewing machine that shows us how to do that, but as soon as I get to sewing the pattern, a sewing tutorial, so I'll keep that in mind. Then once you have done, because the back you cut 2, for the back you cut 2 pieces, for the front you cut 1 and fold. For the back you cut 1 and fold. So yeah, this one you cut on fold, this one you cut 2 pieces. So when you stitch this and sew the dart, you do the same thing for the back, sew the dart. When you're done with the finishing, when you're done sewing these slits, you have to leave this part open because 2 ways. Either you leave everything, sew the slit 4 inches from here and leave this still open out, right? Then sew the back and the front as one piece. You have the back and the front sewn as one piece. You open it up and sew the hemline. I hope that makes sense. So I will see you guys in the next live pattern making video. Until then, please subscribe to the channel, share the video, share the live video, and give it a thumbs up, comment,